Have you ever been lying in bed, eyes heavy, ready to drift off, and then suddenly your brain decides to play a highlight reel of every embarrassing thing you've ever done? That time your teacher called on you and you froze, the moment you waved at someone who wasn't actually waving at you, that awkward joke you told at a party that nobody laughed at. It's like your brain leans over at 2 a.m. and whispers, "Let's replay this in 4K Ultra HD." Mark Twain once said, "A man's memory is his worst enemy," and in those sleepless hours it feels painfully true. But here's the thing, you're not alone. In fact, you're in very crowded company. A survey in the UK found that nearly 80% of adults admit to replaying embarrassing moments in their heads, often late at night. Psychologists even gave it a name, involuntary memory recall, or more casually, the cringe loop. That's right, your brain is like Netflix, except it only streams the worst episodes of your personal sitcom. And sometimes, it's not even the big humiliations, it's the tiny random ones. The time you mispronounced a word in front of your class, the moment you walked into the wrong room at work, the text you sent to the wrong person. These little moments cling like burrs. They don't matter in the grand scheme of things, but at 2 a.m. they feel like a full-on character assassination. Here's the fascinating part. Cultures all over the world have created trends to capture this feeling. In Germany, people talk about Fremdscham, the second-hand shame you feel for someone else's awkwardness. In Finland, there's myötähäpeä, a similar idea but tinged with empathy. You cringe with them, almost wanting to hug them in your mind. In Spanish-speaking countries, they say pena ajena, literally, the shame of others. Isn't it striking? Whole languages recognize how central embarrassment is to the human condition. In fact, an anthropological review published in 2021 examined 35 languages and found that 29 of them had unique words for shame or second-hand embarrassment. That tells us this isn't just a private quirk. It's a universal human experience encoded in culture.
If billions of people across time and geography all cringed, maybe the real weird thing would be not cringing at all. Why does it always happen at night? Why not at 10 a.m. when you're sipping coffee and actually awake enough to handle it? The surprising truth lies in how your brain operates when things go quiet. During the day, your mind is bombarded with distractions, emails, conversations, errands, endless notifications. But at night, when the noise dies down, another network in your brain switches on. The default mode network. Think of the default mode network as the brain's background app. It's active when you're not focused on the outside world. Instead, it turns inward, reflecting, analyzing, connecting dots. It's designed to help you learn from the past and prepare for the future. Useful, right? But like a car alarm that goes off too easily, it sometimes malfunctions. Instead of gently processing your day, it drags up that moment from high school when your voice cracked in front of the class. It's not trying to punish you, it's trying to protect you, reminding you of mistakes so you don't repeat them. The problem is, the volume is cranked way too high, and even the most successful people aren't immune. Taylor Swift once admitted in an interview that when she tries to fall asleep, her brain replays all the times I've been humiliated. Adele confessed she still thinks about a performance where she hit the wrong note on live TV. Barack Obama joked that he replays some of his early campaign speeches that completely flopped with the audience. Even world-class athletes have admitted to losing sleep not over victories, but over small, awkward mistakes. If they can't escape the cringe loop, maybe it's just part of being human. And it's not just performers. Scientists deal with it too. Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman once said he still cringes at a presentation from his early career where he lost the room completely. Imagine that, one of the most brilliant psychologists alive replaying a stumble from decades ago. Proof that nobody gets immunity. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Nobody else remembers those moments the way you do. That awkward laugh, that bad haircut, that speech you stumbled through, other people probably forgot them within hours. The only prison keeping them alive is inside your own head. And here's a shock stat. Researchers at the University of Michigan scanned brains while people recalled humiliating events. They saw activity spiking in the anterior cingulate cortex, the very region that processes physical pain. That means your brain reacts to embarrassment as if you were burned by hot coffee. No wonder you physically flinch at memories from decades ago. Another Stanford study found we recall negative social experiences with 4 times the vividness of positive ones. And a Nature neuroscience experiment discovered that intentionally reframing a bad memory drops its emotional sting by about 40% the next time you recall it. That's not self-help fluff. That's literal rewiring measured in brain scans. And here's one more. A 2019 study found that participants who rated themselves as highly sensitive to embarrassment also showed higher baseline cortisol levels, the stress hormone, even at rest, meaning your body can carry the burden of old cringe long after the moment has passed. Brené Brown, the researcher famous for studying shame and vulnerability, once said, "Shame corrodes the very part of us that believes we are capable of change." And that's the danger of the cringe loop. When replaying becomes self-attack, it doesn't just keep you awake. It keeps you small. So what can you do? First, realize you can't just will your brain to stop. Telling yourself, "Don't think about it," is like telling yourself, "Don't think of a pink elephant." Boom, pink elephant. Instead, try this. The next time an embarrassing memory pops up, don't fight it. Say out loud, even quietly, "Yes, that happened. And I survived." That simple acknowledgement rewires the brain, teaching it that the memory is not a threat. Let's try something together right now. Pause for just 3 seconds. Think of the most random cringe memory that pops into your mind. Got it? Now say to yourself, "Yes, it happened. But I lived, and I grew." Notice how the weight shifts? It goes from punishment to proof of survival. And here's the viral trick. If you comment your cringe below, you'll find dozens of people confessing theirs too. That moment you thought was unique, it's everyone's midnight movie. That realization alone can kill half the shame. Here's another tool, the 2-minute reframe. Grab a notebook, write the embarrassing moment in 1 sentence, then write 2 sentences about what it taught you. Maybe humility, maybe empathy, or maybe just that you should never attempt karaoke after 3 drinks. Research from the University of Texas shows that reframing negative memories through writing reduces their emotional sting by nearly 30% on average. Science also tells us mindfulness can help. A Harvard study found that people spend about 47% of their waking hours mind-wandering, often toward negative thoughts. But just 10 minutes of mindful breathing can lower intrusive memories significantly. When you notice the loop starting, even 3 slow breaths can create enough distance to break the cycle. And here's a lesser-known trick from neuroscience: memory reconsolidation. Every time you recall a memory, your brain temporarily makes it malleable, like soft clay, before saving it again. That means you can subtly reshape how it feels. The next time the cringe memory pops up, intentionally add a humorous spin. Imagine yourself narrating the scene in a silly voice, or picture the audience wearing clown wigs. Actually, let's experiment right now. Picture that awkward meeting where you spilled coffee. Now, give every person in the room giant clown shoes. Hear the squeaks as they shuffle. Feel how the sharp edge softens? That's your brain literally rewriting the emotion attached to the memory. Let's go deeper. Why do some memories stick more than others? Psychologists call it the negativity bias. Our brains evolved to prioritize bad experiences over good ones because survival depended on it. Forgetting where you found berries? Mildly inconvenient. Forgetting where you almost got attacked by a wild animal? Fatal. So the brain learned, remember the bad, rehearse the bad. The problem is, in the modern world, danger often just means social embarrassment. Your brain treats that awkward text you sent as if it were a tiger in the bushes. And that bias is powerful. Experiments show that it takes 3 positive experiences to emotionally outweigh just 1 negative one. Imagine that. Your brain is running on a rigged scoreboard. So no wonder 1 bad joke can overshadow 10 great conversations. But knowing the game is rigged means you can start balancing it yourself, consciously stacking positive memories to tip the scale back. Here's another body fact. Studies show that during these replays, your pupils dilate, your muscles tense, and stress hormones spike. Your body doesn't just remember embarrassment, it reenacts it. And when you're sleep-deprived, a 2013 UC Berkeley study found the amygdala fires 60% more strongly to negative memories if you're low on sleep. That means exhaustion literally amplifies the cringe loop. Sometimes, the cure isn't fixing the memory, it's simply getting enough rest. But there's also an unexpected upside. A University of California, Berkeley study discovered that people who show visible embarrassment, blushing, stumbling, looking flustered, are actually rated as more trustworthy and likable. Think about that. The very blush you hate might be a signal to others that you care about connection. Cringe can be social glue. And here's the twist that might surprise you. People who replay their embarrassing moments most often sometimes score higher on empathy and creativity tests. Why? Because their brains naturally simulate different outcomes. It's the same mental skill that makes you a thoughtful friend, a storyteller, or a problem solver. What feels like torture at night may actually be the flip side of a gift. And you've probably felt this. When someone shares an embarrassing story, don't you feel closer to them? In fact, researchers from the University of Essex found that people who admitted a cringe story in a group were 22% more likely to be rated as relatable and friendly than those who didn't. Vulnerability doesn't push people away, it draws them in. Comedians prove this every day. Kevin Hart jokes about his childhood humiliations. Ali Wong spins awkward personal stories into laughter. They've built entire careers on what most of us try to bury. If they can flip humiliation into humor, maybe we can flip our midnight shame into something lighter too. Here's one more practical tool, the library technique. Imagine your brain as a library. When a cringe memory pops up, instead of fighting it, mentally file it in a folder labeled Lessons Learned. Place it on a shelf, then visualize walking away. A study from the University of Chicago found that rituals of symbolic closure, even imaginary ones, reduce emotional weight. It's like telling your brain, "Thank you, memory. You've served your purpose. Now rest." And here's a sticky one-liner to keep. Everyone's starring in their own blooper reel. No one has time to watch yours. Eleanor Roosevelt once said, "You wouldn't worry so much about what others think of you if you realized how seldom they do." The truth is, people are too busy replaying their own bloopers. So, the next time it's 2 a.m. and your brain presses play, smile and remind yourself, the past can't hurt you anymore. Each cringe is just proof that you were living, learning, and being human. Maya Angelou put it beautifully. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. Here's one last metaphor to take with you. Your brain is like Netflix, but it only plays bloopers. You can't cancel the subscription, but you can choose the genre, horror or comedy. And if you ever doubt yourself, remember this. History doesn't remember people for their small embarrassments. Nobody thinks of Einstein's clumsy lectures or Oprah's awkward first shows. They remember the impact. Your cringe is not your legacy. Now, I want to hear from you. What's the one embarrassing moment your brain won't let go of? Drop it in the comments. You'll see you're not alone. And if your brain loves replaying the past at night, stay tuned for the next video, where we'll flip the script and explore the other side, overthinking the future. Why your mind can't stop imagining things that haven't even happened yet, and why that strange habit might secretly be useful.